Hey book team, it's Amelia and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be reviewing Anna and the French Kiss by Stephanie Perkins. Anna and the French Kiss focuses on Anna, who is a young, aspiring film critic who is living in Atlanta and is perfectly content with her best friend and her new possible boyfriend. But all that changes when her Nicholas Sparks-esque father sends her away to boarding school in Paris. I know, it's absolutely dreadful. I mean, how could he? But soon she starts making friends and becomes best friends with the handsome Etienne St. Clair, who is also in a relationship and who she starts to have conflicted feelings for. So basically, young adult contemporary romance set in Paris. Which leads me to my 5 buzzwords. I've kind of already touched on my first buzzword, and that is young romance. If you love reading about young love, then you will enjoy this book. The characters are all in high school, and it has all the cute, fluffy, lovey-dovey stuff that you would expect from reading a book like this. There is arguably insta-love in this, but it's not entirely insta-love. It's really complicated. I don't know. If you haven't read it yet, go read it and tell me what you think, because I'm kind of conflicted on if it's really insta-lovey or not. Arguably, though, it is. But sometimes you just need some insta-love in your life. Buzzword number 2 is movies and film. So Anna is an aspiring film critic, so as such she makes a lot of film references, especially when it comes to older movies. There are also a few movie theater scenes, and she has a pretty great inner monologue about the experience of going to see a movie in theaters and also the feeling of seeing a movie by yourself in theaters. So basically, if you're a film junkie who's looking for a character who's also a movie buff, then you will definitely enjoy reading Anna's perspective. Buzzword number 3 is Paris and the study abroad experience. If you want to read about book. If you want to read about book. So if you want to read a book about Paris or the experience of studying abroad, then you should definitely pick this up. Personally, I went to Paris when I was 9, but I don't really remember it that well because I was so young. However, 2 years ago, I studied abroad in Vienna, and I absolutely loved it, and reading this book just made me relive that experience and filled me with all kinds of wanderlust, which now I'm having difficulty with getting rid of, and it's kind of a problem. But if you want a small glimpse of the surface of how it is to study abroad, then I really do recommend this book. Not only does it capture the excitement of exploring a new foreign city, but also she does a great job in exploring culture shock and anti-culture shock, which are 2 things that people tend to forget about when it comes to studying abroad. And speaking of studying abroad, my 4th buzzword is boarding school. I could have technically combined these 2, but I had some difficulty coming up with buzzwords for this one, so they're 2 separate things, okay? But yeah, if you're interested in reading a book about high schoolers at a boarding school, this is a book for you. And finally, my 5th buzzword is male-female friendships. So I found the relationship between Etienne and Anna to be very, very precious. Granted, their fights were extremely avoidable, but once again, that just has to do with the fact that they are high schoolers. And generally, I think they were healthy support systems for one another, which I think is excellent. It's nice to have a relationship that isn't borderline abusive or questionable in any way. But yeah, it was just lovely to read how their friendship developed and grew. Honestly, there were moments where I was reminded of Ted and Robin from How I Met Your Mother. However, this is by no means a high school version of How I Met Your Mother. But I would be interested in reading something that was, because How I Met Your Mother is one of my favorite shows. So overall, I did enjoy reading this book, but there was just no wow factor for me, which tends to be the case with young adult, contemporary romance books. I didn't hate it, I didn't love it, but I would still recommend it, so I am giving this a 3 out of 5 stars. And honestly, that's basically it for my review, because I can't think of anything else to really discuss or talk about in the spoilery section. It's a pretty straightforward read, and my problems with the book can pretty much be summarized by the fact that these types of books tend to be extremely formulaic, and on top of that, for me, it is sometimes frustrating to read in the high schooler's perspective. And yet I am still picking up books from a high schooler's perspective. I don't know, maybe there's some kind of subconscious nostalgic factor to it. I will say though, there's one quote in this book that made me laugh so hard, possibly harder than I probably should have. And that quote was, "Girl Scouts didn't teach me what to do with emotionally unstable drunk boys." I just found that sentence to be so very relatable, and I still laugh when I read it. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you have read the book, please leave a comment down below with your personal thoughts. And if you have not read the book, then leave me a comment telling me where you would like to study abroad or travel to someday. Personally, I would love to go to South Korea or Australia. I know those two places are incredibly different, but both of them have been at the top of my list for quite some time now, so they would definitely be the first that I would hit up if I could. I actually do have a promise with myself to try and get out of the country at least once a year, so maybe I'll try and hit up one of those this year. We'll see how that goes. But now I'm just rambling, so I'll shut up now, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye!